Hey, this is the Geco German LP-2. I think they're from the 1960s. A masterclass in die making and press steel, sheet steel, and then sort of welding and finishing. Lightweight, strong, not that strong, not strong enough to take, for example, shooting a 7.62 by 54 or anything. What actually happens is it blows these parts down. While I'm at it, I'm just going to safety check it. I've actually just done something to this which just makes it a little bit difficult. There we go. Yeah, it's empty. Right, it's got an insert in. I think it's a 410 long colt. Sorry, 410 shot shell. This is actually powder coated. I powder coated the whole thing. And doing that, it also stops that barrel rust problem. For some reason, the insides of the barrel really want to rust. Yeah, it took quite a lot of work, that, actually. And I've been doing a lot of powder coating lately, been powder coating things that local companies won't do. Like they say it's impossible to powder coat aluminum. Well, I've just powder coated a load of AR-15 receivers for people. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Yeah, so I disassembled the whole thing, powder coated it and put it back together. And of course there's one really difficult thing to put back together, and that's the hammer spring guide. The hammer spring guide, the hammer spring. And I'm just going to take the parts out of the bag. Obviously that one's reassembled, but I do have spare parts lying around just in case. Let's just open them up. Should have kind of done that beforehand really, but whatever, never mind. So the way it works is that, a bag within a bag, how annoying. The way it works is that your spring's on here, like this. By the way, there's no real videos about how to do this. This guy has got a couple of pictures of how it should be when it's finished. There you go. Let's just, where's the centre? There. Try and stay there. Right, so yeah, you can see the way it works. You've got that's your hammer spring, and it has to, that goes on first, that shoulder, or whatever, what is it called? It's called the hammer spring guide frame seat. You've got to get the trigger, not the trigger, the hammer. The hammer's got a little pin through the back of it. See if I can find the hammer. Here's the hammer. It's got a little pin through the back of it, and you have to get that onto that roller. Well, it's not a roller, it's a pin. It's like that. And that's the way it goes into the flare gun, or the signal pistol, as it really should be called, is that way round. It's like that. Now, I struggled for a really long time just to get that underneath the bar that goes through. The pin. It's a shouldered pin, so it's a pin with a little, like the end is a smaller diameter. The last sort of, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch or so, or I don't know, 1/8 of an inch is a smaller diameter than the rest of the pin. It's in here somewhere. I can't be bothered to find it. Then I thought, well, hang on, I've actually got to get that even deeper into the gun, and then I've got to get this. Which part? Yeah, that's got to go over this. That's right. And then the pin goes through there. So it's really difficult. Well, there's only one way to do it, and this is the way you do it. What you do, you need to get that. So get eye protection, proper eye protection that covers your whole eye. Get that in a vise very carefully, and you've got to come onto it straight. You have to compress it. Before you even start, by the way, just get a drill. They're not called drill bits, I don't think. I think they're called a drill. Get a drill of the right diameter. Now, you've got to cut your drill so that it can hold the spring, but allow you to put the whole assembly in and slip it down into the frame through the back. Now, cutting drills can be difficult sometimes. I've got a couple of tools at my disposal. One of them is a bandsaw over there. You can, by the way, just see my order board is now completely empty. I've finished Ram Light. There are no more orders left. In fact, my whole table is very clear. There is nothing to do. Ram Light does not exist. Thank you, American YouTube gun community. Thank you for hating me and ignoring me, and thank you IV88888 for blocking me, and Thank you for Moss Porn for telling me I'm an idiot, and thank you Military Arms Channel and Copper Custom for treating me well. Military Arms Channel never responded to me. Copper Custom just said that can never work, whatever you're talking about, go away. So yeah, thank you to those people, thanks so much for that, really nice. You might want to reconsider giving them money on Patreon and whatever. I think it's a bit of a shakedown if you ask me, because I've never been able to contact them in 6 years. Okay, rant finished, let's continue with it. So I have to get attention by the carrot and stick approach here, right? I'm giving you some carrot here, right? But then I'm giving them a bit of stick. Okay, so this is, so then I use a bandsaw. You can actually cut a bandsaw, sorry, you can cut a drill with a bandsaw. It's only very thin, that. It's better to hold it in a little pair of vice grips, long nose vice grips or something, or even short nose vice grips. Just hold it there. Another thing you can do actually, you can actually use the edge of a grinding wheel, like that one there. See the one on that one there, the bigger one? That's an old disc on it on the right hand side. You can actually use that to do it. And you can just, if you keep it held in those vice grips, you can just get it just cut down to size. And then what you do, so you compress it in the vise as much as you can. I mean, you don't want this to come out, because even if it misses your eyes, it could hurt your face. But anyway, I managed it pretty easily. It wasn't really a problem or anything. And I actually did it so that, because this has to go beyond the end of that spring. When it's in position, this is the part. This sits in the frame, in the bottom of the frame by the grip, right at the bottom of the grip. It just sort of clamps, it just pushes in under finger pressure, and that is supposed to go through it. Well, so you just look there at how much you've got to compress that spring. That's a lot of compression. This is a thick spring. It's why the trigger, the hammer is got such a massive pull on it. So yeah, so what you do now is you compress it. And I didn't go the whole way till the point of like death and people dying and stuff, and you know, children dying. I just did it as much as I could, and then there was a little gap between the spring coils. Then I just placed my little drill bit through, and then it's got it kind of captured. And actually I concentrated on getting that in first, forget everything else. I think I put the trigger in. Then I concentrated on getting it so that this will go through here. Now, it doesn't want to. It will go all round, it will slip forward, backwards to the sides. So I've made this little tool. It's just a little bit of metal. It's like, I don't know, this is probably 18 gauge. It's just a little thin strip like that. How deep is it? It's like, what's that? That's 3/16 of an inch. And it's just like that, and it just sits. Let me go get a frame. Badly prepared, aren't I? Maybe this was my downfall, really, this kind of thing. I never had time, you see. I didn't just make videos. I was actually doing something. It just sat in there. So this would get pressed into place like that, and then I would just, once that's pressed right down, it's still got these little steps that you can just use this. It just sits in there under spring pressure. It doesn't do anything really, but it just keeps that centralised. And then I had to use punches. And amazingly, you kind of need, you need lots of different punches really, and the one that kind of grips it is a small one. You can just get a small one onto it, onto one edge, and your real problem is that this thing here is sitting in a very wide hole, and it wants to go off to one side, and when it goes off to one side, either side, it's hard to deal with. So I was using 2 screwdrivers at different times to kind of go in the side and stop it moving around. So what I did was I used a really thick punch with an end about that wide to get onto this and to just push it down and start to get that going through that hole in this thing, like that. And then what did I do? Actually, that's not true. That's what what I actually did in the bitter end was I got the trigger to do the job. So what you can imagine when you're pushing down, it wants to do all sorts of crazy movements. But believe it or not, you can actually just get it quite easily, really, in a position where it just goes straight down. I kind of supported it, I think, against my body on the table. So it's going flat down on the table, and then my body's against it here. So I could just control it. And then I had a head torch on and these sort of little glasses, you know, the ones, the clip-on magnifiers, ×2 magnification, so you can see in there. And then I just got it into a position where I could get that through the hole and just grip that and capture it. Right? Then I would come from the other side with a thicker punch. I mean, you need different punches. These are supposed to be the same punches, but actually one's slightly wider than the other. Have a good selection, because they become pretty critical. And you kind of want to end up so that your pin, when it goes through, is the last thing you do. You know, I don't think grease really helps in this case. I think there's so much forces involved and stuff, like with the spring and everything, and just keeping it under control. I don't think grease is going to help too much. You can grease it afterwards, I'm sure. And that was it. So it's not impossible. That's the way to do it. And then when you finished, obviously you just get this punch and then just knock that drill bit out. The next most difficult thing is getting the barrel in and the spring. And what I had to do here was I had to make a little tool, and the little tool is basically yet another drill bit that I just, you know, held in the same thing on the bandsaw. I think I cut this on the bandsaw, and then I sort of chamfered the edges. That's like you put a bit of a like a shoulder on it, makes it easier to go in the hole. I used my digital caliper to make sure that that pin was the same width as the barrel pin. In fact, I've got a few barrel pins. What do they call them? They call them a barrel hinge pin. And the problem is your spring. The spring's pretty tight. So you really want to put that through the barrel hinge hole and the spring's got a thing that goes through it, goes through a hole in the actual, you'll see, it's very easy to see. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't get it wrong. And then that gets everything lined up, and then of course you come through the other side with a punch. And actually, so that pushes that out. I suppose you could go in with the pin, but I had a little bit of trouble. I must admit, I had trouble. It was really difficult to stop the pin. This is not the tool, but the pin itself going off to one side. And you can't quite get it through the hole. You have to kind of grip it from the other side on its head and sort of direct it. So you need like 3 hands. It took me a few attempts actually, and it just got to the point where it looked like it was lined up again. You know, the magnifying glasses and the head torch helps. And then pump, there we go, we're through. And little tip with using circlips is, a lot of people really bodge it, and I think the way to get them off is to take them off, use a small screwdriver. That's the open end, and in here you have these little sort of holes on this side, and if you just push it that way a little bit with the edge of the screwdriver, just push it that way with the edge of the screwdriver so it just moves a little bit. It's still captured. You can actually just put your screwdriver in here and then just twist the screwdriver of the correct size, and it'll just lever it off really easily. No scratches, very easy, no big deal, no hitting it with hammers or anything. And then going back on again, I just come from the other side with probably a slightly bigger screwdriver and just literally just push it into position, you know, from the back side. And actually, so I'd got my hammer in and the spring and that guide and everything. My trigger was already in, and then there's this piece with the roller which actuates somehow. Well, you can put all that in afterwards. It goes in, trust me, it goes in. The piece, in fact, let's just find the piece so that there's no confusion. It's this one. It's called the trigger lever. Let me get it out. Is this still filming? I get very nervous. Yeah, it's obvious which way it goes. It goes in. You can see. Well, let me show you. It goes in like. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that. Pretty sure. No, it's not. Oh balls! It's actually like. It's actually. Well, you can work it out from where the roller operates, and the roller operates on this side, so it's like that. Well, you can slip that in. You can actually get that spring that goes here, and you can actually get it in, believe it or not. I can get it in this hole. I'm fairly sure I got it in this hole. You have to just kind of grip it with a little pair of pliers. You know, the best pliers you can have are these two, these little mini ones, the wide nose ones and the little needle ones. And I just got it in, and then I pressed it into there, and then I started again with a small punch and just, you know, kept working at it, and then eventually you can put it through. So that's the third most difficult job, and then basically you're almost assembled. The firing pin's pretty straightforward. Remember, the spring goes between the firing pin and the actual, this back plate, whatever this is called. Well, I don't know what you call that. What is it called? I'm supposed to know what that's called. The face, don't know, chamber face, I don't know. There'll be a name, somebody put it underneath. Well, this video won't be up for long because basically my new rule is, as soon as I get a negative comment or a thumbs down, I delete the video. So that's why there's no videos on my channel, because basically all the horrible people come on within 30 seconds and put thumbs downs and I wipe the video. So that's me silenced, not by YouTube or Facebook, not by, you know, Amazon or eBay or any other nasty people like the baddies, the big baddies, the corporate baddies, but it's actually by gun owners. Gun owners are the ones who silence me because they just do not like me. I'm like becoming an evil hero now. Not an evil hero, an evil, like somebody who thought he was going to be a superhero, but then because there's something wrong with him. It's like in The Incredibles, the baddie in The Incredibles. I'm becoming like that. I'm becoming very kind of bitter and twisted, and you know, it's quite nasty, isn't it, really? But I'm letting go as well. I've actually let go. I threw out 25 pounds in weight of old Ram-like products and stuff, and you know, like the component parts, that's all in the garbage. And I'm kind of letting go, amazingly, and I'm feeling better in myself. So that's something. And you know, there's the odd nice person still contacts me and stuff and wishes me well, which is sort of nice. That's it with that. And I've got this one particular gun for sale on Ramlight. It's got the stick on top rail, really easy to do, really low cost that. And then this, I think this is just better than that horrible thing you can get on the eBay that's like 65 bucks. This little combo from me is like, I don't know, 30 bucks or something. It's half the price, much better. Put an RMR on there and all sorts of things. I'll play around with this next week, I think. This has just got to be freed up because it's been powder coated. I've just got to work on that a little bit just to get it to work a bit smoother. Put a bit of grease in there or something, some like Glock copper grease or something. In fact, I'm looking forward to shooting that again. I did have a bit of a passion for these. It looks much better with the powder coat and it'll last a lot longer. The grips are, I can't remember what that wood's called. Is it bird's eye maple? No, it's not there. Yeah, it might be. It looks like there's a bird's eye there. I think that's bird's eye maple. I can't remember. I made these such a long time ago that it's I can't actually remember, believe it or not. But they come with it as well. Very hard to get the grips. Yeah, that's just another Dan video for you, and it won't be here very long. Have a great day. Thank you.